Hey guys, so this is one of our last units for AP Macro. We will not do foreign exchange because it's not going to be on the AP exam this year. They're ending the AP exam on fiscal policy. Some of the stuff we already talked about before because we've talked about like how the business cycle and there's key indicators and how it works with monetary policy. But now we're going to look at fiscal policy, and this is the government, our Congress and our president coming in to figure out what to do when the economy faces troubles. And they will come out with a budget, and we're going to see that fiscal policy really takes place after FDR's administration. FDR comes in, and he's going to take advice from a guy named John Maynard Keynes, which he's the guy who comes up with the Keynesian model, which we're going to talk about today. And John Maynard Keynes says the government, because before the Depression, we're going to see big highs of economic expansion and then some very lows. And it always used to be laissez-faire. The government didn't step in. But John Maynard Keynes says, no, the government can step in and kind of fix the business cycle to either prevent the highs from getting too high or the lows from getting too low. And so this is what Roosevelt will do in his administration. And even today, in light of what's going on, how coronavirus, COVID-19 is sending our economy into a free fall, our government has stepped in. And we're going to look at what is going on in fiscal policy and how our government is reacting today. So fiscal policy, what it is Congress, the use of taxing and spending to promote economic growth and stability. So today, we don't see our Congress actually taxing us. Because of what has happened with COVID-19, it has sent the stock market into free fall. We are now social distancing, and we are seeing that businesses are going under, right? That the government has come in and proposed a $2 trillion spending bill. And this is fiscal policy at its finest. They realize we need to prevent our economy from going into free fall, that the government needs to step up and spend. Okay? And so what we're going to look at is the different phases of the business cycle, what the government is doing, and how they're going to interact in our economy to at least promote growth and stop that instability to create stability. So there's two branches of fiscal policy. The one that we're going to talk about today is demand side, that was created by John Maynard Keynes, who was an advisor to FDR. And the other one, I'm going to talk about supply side later. Many of y'all know that as Reaganomics, which we talked about in U.S. history. So during a recession, our problem is that there's unemployment. We see this right now. People have been unemployed because their businesses are no longer needing them. We're seeing this in the service industry with a lot of restaurants, right? We're seeing that people are not having their jobs because of social distancing. And so currently right now, we don't know we're in a recession, but 6 months of data will tell us that we are in a recession. We are seeing that our goal is to increase aggregate demand. We want to get people to want to demand stuff. And when people are unemployed, they can't demand much because they don't have money. So the goal of the government is, how do we get people back on jobs? And so what FDR did in the Great Depression, he employed people in the CCC, the TVA, the WPA. He gave those people jobs, and now that they have money, they could increase their aggregate demand. And we're seeing this currently today with the Trump administration and their stimulus package, is that they're going to give, and we're going to research this more, to every American family that's under a certain threshold, they'll give per married couple $2,400, for every child $500. You're going to see for single individuals, it'll be something else. And so now by giving these cash payments, that is going to increase the aggregate demand, and we're going to see that the aggregate demand will have an impact. So the policy, what this is called, is demand side expansionary fiscal policy, because our and I'll do some more lessons on this week, where I'm going to show you the business cycle and how this will pull us out. But by the government increasing aggregate demand, by employing people or giving cash payments such as unemployment benefits, we'll see that this should expand our economy and take us out of that recession. And the tools that they will use is they're going to tax less. And the government is going to spend more. So you see that currently today with the government coming in, bailing out the airlines industry, the hotel industry. They're coming in because people don't want to travel. And so the government is going to spend to make sure that those businesses don't go under. The government is going to give out cash payments. The government has expanded unemployment benefits to people. So this is currently where we're at right now. We see that the aggregate demand for overall has gone down. We see that people are not traveling. People are not demanding restaurants. People are not demanding things that have close proximity with other people. So the aggregate demand has gone down. But when the government comes in and they employ people or they give cash payments, we're going to see that this is going to result in our aggregate demand shifting to the right. And if you see this, this means that people are demanding more. So gross domestic product, what is being produced in the United States, is increasing. It went from 1 to 2. People are now being employed. And that will take us out of this part of the recession and into probably an expansion. And so we're going to increase GDP. We're going to be putting people back to work. And even that today with the government in giving cash payments out, we're going to see people now spend that money, and that's going to create a demand for more products to be produced. More products are going to be produced, but we need to employ people, so more people are going to be employed, and they're going to get money, and they're going to spend that money, which leads to economic growth. So I talked about this being in the recession. We talked about that before. And so we see the opportunity cost of GDP going up is that inflation will incur. Okay, so now this next phase is an expansion. We are going to see the problem in expansion is inflation. We talked about that being over 3%. And so the goal is that people have too much money in their pockets. So our goal is to decrease the aggregate demand. And the one way that the government is going to do that is by implementing a policy called demand side contractionary. They're trying to contract the expansion. And what the government is going to do, because too many people have too much money in their pocket, they're going to tax more. And the government spending will go down. And so over here, we're in inflation, right? High prices. So the government starts taxing, and now people cannot demand as much. Oh gosh, I have no clue what this is. I'm going to close that. And so we see that the aggregate demand will go down, and we will see with price level going down, unemployment will go down. Okay, so there's some limitations of fiscal policy. First off, it's very difficult for Congress to change in spending. In light of today, most of the time, 99% of it, Congress, it is very difficult to agree. What just happened with COVID-19 and that stimulus package was unheard of for Congress to come out and quickly get through fiscal policy to help stimulate the economy. Most times it's very difficult to. There's also time lags. Where you're seeing most people don't know how long this pandemic is going to last. And so maybe we see that just a one-time payment is not going to be enough. So predicting the future instability and developing a policy that will truly implement to correct itself. There's also political pressure. Contractionary policies such as increasing taxes are highly unpopular. You are not going to elect an official saying, I'm going to increase your taxes. And so what we're going to see is that this is what has led to our current debt, because contractionary fiscal policy is not often implemented. However, most likely expansionary fiscal policy is being implemented where the government's going to spend more, which has led to our current economic debt. So again, we do not coordinate with the Federal Reserves. The Congress does not control with the Federal Reserves because they're a quasi authority that they don't have to report to the government. Okay, we're done with that. It was very easy. I will post another lesson on fiscal policy later. Bye, guys.